Labour shortages will lead to more migration. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. We're going to have a look at an article from news.com.au which is warning of a new threat emerging for New South Wales. Now I can't say that, anyone is going to be too surprised with this, because New South Wales COVID cases on the slide. Fantastic, good news. Open with a positive. But the state faces a looming labour shortage. A looming labour shortage. Now we've heard of this mentioned before. It's starting to appear in the news. More and more articles are appearing about a labour shortage. There's calls, and we're going to see from the same Premier, there's calls for 2 million additional migrants to Australia over the next several years. That's a significant increase for our country. And I was saying it, a year ago, don't worry guys, you know what they'll always do with regards to property if it starts crashing? They'll just open the floodgates. And Australia doesn't need to be the best place in the world. It doesn't need to be a utopian place in the world. It doesn't need to be everyone's fantasy. It just needs to be better than other places. We just need to handle the COVID better than other places. We just have to have opportunities better than other places. And people will still be attracted to our country. So, let's have a look at this. New South Wales case numbers continue to fall, but a new problem is emerging as the state eases lockdown restrictions. Now, is this labour shortage? Is this because of the Great Resignation, where people have realised they don't want to do these terrible jobs that they're doing? They want to look at other opportunities, other ways to live their life, or they're prioritising what's actually important. Maybe they've realised they actually have a family and want to spend time with their family. New COVID cases have declined again in New South Wales, but a looming labour shortage amid a post-lockdown trading has Premier Dominic Perrottet urging businesses to hang in there. There were 332 new cases reported in New South Wales on Saturday morning, down from 345 the day before. New South Wales Health reported 2 deaths in the latest figures, which covered the 24 hours to 8 p.m. last night. Okay, so, it's sad that people are dying, but it's good that the cases are going down. And it's good that the ICU numbers are still, they're not over 150, only 123, everyone. Remember, the whole point of all of this was to ensure that our health system wasn't swamped. It wasn't the dream. Well, it's kind of morphed into this dream of COVID zero. I don't think that ever actually was a reality, but some people hoped for it. Wasn't it? It was just to flatten the curve, to mitigate the impacts to health, and then all of a sudden it was COVID zero. I guess they got excited. The cases came after more than 64,000 tests, with the state's hospitalisation rate also decreasing. Fantastic. More good news, everyone. This is good news. You're opening up, the hospitalisation rates are going down, cases are manageable. This is good. We'll raise a stein to that. This is what we want. I know everyone likes doom and news on YouTube, but still, come on. There are now 469 COVID patients in hospital in New South Wales, with 123 in intensive care. The update comes as Sydneysiders cap their second week of freedom, with lockdowns lifted on the October 11th. But another problem is now hurting businesses, with the Premier telling journalists there was a dire shortage of hospitality and agricultural workers to handle a surge in trade. Okay, well, our agricultural industry has become accustomed to backpackers and foreign labour, propping them up. And it's kind of a mixed bag, everyone. Some of the jobs you see, the position is that people think they're too good to do it, and other ones, the conditions are terrible. They expect you to pay rent to live in their place on their, it's really a grab bag. Hospitality, it's hospitality, everyone. It's a job a stepping stone, usually in a career. It's the job that you do while you're at university or while you're at high school. And it's a job that you do part-time around family or other commitments. I can see why people may not be in a rush to get back to hospitality, particularly if you're cast aside so easily if times get tough. Maybe some people are finally realizing they're not that important to their employers. We know, particularly with reductions in immigration, reductions in skilled labor, international students not returning at this stage, it's made it incredibly difficult for many industries to get the workers that they need, he said. And there you go. The feedback I've received over the last week is trades up 200% and staff down 50%. That is a real challenge facing the hospitality sector in New South Wales, and will continue the discussions with the federal government. They're going to use this as a push to increase migration. They want to get international students back. The universities are pushing for that. The property sector is pushing for that. How much of our property is tied into all these other parts of the economy? And they're a powerful lobby group, everyone. Okay, they're a very powerful lobby group. We may be here talking about property and how, the government uses housing construction to stimulate the economy. But you've got to remember, they've got the ears of many politicians on both sides of the divide. There's very little difference between the two. The Premier said the state had been in discussions with the federal government again over restrictions on working hours. We'll look towards potentially making some changes there again, he said. But the first focus for us is getting people back into work to get businesses open. So it's a good challenge to have. It's a better challenge than having high unemployment and not having demand in businesses right across the state. Well, yeah, he's right there. This is what you want. Because, well, remember, everyone, RBA's fantastic ability to look at wage growth. The wage price index not growing very high. A shortage of workers in hospitality and agriculture is going to drive up wages there. Then again, some hospitality jobs are paid pretty well. So, Saturday's update follows news on Friday that Qantas plans to start several commercial routes earlier than originally scheduled, with many kicking off in December, including flights to the Indian capital for the first time in a year. New South Wales restrictions will continue to ease over the coming weeks. From the 1st of November, there will be no cap for bookings for hospitality venues. Travel between Greater Sydney and regional New South Wales will also be allowed, while fully vaccinated overseas arrivals will no longer need to quarantine. Fully vaccinated overseas arrivals will no longer need to quarantine. So there you go. That's the path to our tourism sector opening up. Meanwhile, South Australia has changed its border rules with New South Wales, with restriction-free transit travel permitted through Sydney Airport. The New South Wales cross-border corridor has also been reinstated, meaning anyone who hasn't left the corridor or associated with someone outside the corridor within the past 14 days can travel anywhere in South Australia. Okay, that's fantastic. So, well, let's have a bit of a talk about this one, guys. So what do we all think? Are we all surprised that there's a potential labour shortage? Is it to do with terrible conditions, or the fact that so many sectors are dependent on the temporary visitors, not necessarily even long-term migrants? We're talking international students that are here just for a few years. How many casual jobs in hospitality are filled with international students or backpackers in the agricultural sector? Maybe that needs to be addressed. But you know what we'll see? We'll see this as more evidence for calls to bring in more skilled migration. I can't say I'm surprised. What do you think, everyone? You think it'll happen? Do you think there's a labour shortage? Or should the Australians step up and do these jobs? Or are they just not able to do them? They don't have the skills anymore. Good luck to us starting manufacturing. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I'd like you to watch this one here, looking at calls for 2 million more migrations. It's the video that I make reference to in this entire one. Check it out because it's going to definitely have an impact on Australia in the next few years. And I think it's going to be an election issue at the next election. Take care.